He's going for two. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
That's just a heck of a pitch.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it. Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. For two here. He's going for two. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
All right, we are live on Facebook and Twitch right now. Not live on YouTube. Not sure what's going on there. We might fix it, might not. Having technical issues. As you can see, we are live on YouTube now. So technical issues have been resolved. As you can see, Chad's not with us tonight. He's got a little bit of Beefeaters business to take care of. Kalen's not with us tonight because he's trying to win Justin Verlander in the show, apparently. And so we brought in Josh the intern. Rick's back. Boys, how we doing? How's the weekend?
It was a great sports weekend. Great sports weekend. Lots to watch. We got the Jays win. We had college football back. We got tennis going on. Jam-packed. It was awesome.
Absolutely. And, you know, like with a little bit of college football means that we obviously spent a little bit of time with our friends at CoolBet. I'm not going to say the weekend was a complete wash, even though the boost didn't hit because Notre Dame fucked us at the end there. But I did have that UCLA upset, and I did hit it pretty good, and I feel pretty good that one paid off. So it made the weekend a little bit more of an even for me, but
I will say I started my bet off on the right foot. I had a 3-game parlay that I hit. I took your Texas bet. I took Alabama by 19.5, and I took Georgia plus 3.5 and hit 3 for 3 on that. So
there you go. You nailed it. Josh, how'd you do? You're 18 now. You're allowed to talk about it.
Not a very great weekend in the world of college football betting for me. Overs and unders, I was completely off. I didn't realize how many games actually go over in college football, so it's kind of tough.
Hey, it was a different kind of week, different kind of season. There's fans back in the stands. It was pretty wild. I think you could tell by the excitement and even just like the commentators' voices that the games meant a little bit more. It means something to have fans back in college football. I think that means really, really good things for the NFL kicking off this week. And we're going to dig deep into the NFL probably in the second half an hour of what we're talking about. But while we're on college football, first of all, to anybody out there that jumped on my North Carolina future and that they were going to be a playoff team, I apologize in advance. That one did not work out. That one did not work out. But
barely didn't work out. It was a tough loss.
Yeah, you know what? Like Sam Howell, I mean, it'd be easy to bury him and say like he played like shit. 3 turnovers doesn't really help his cause. It doesn't seem like he had a lot of help around him. What can you do? There's no way that they are the type of team that can't go undefeated. Like they needed to go undefeated to be a playoff team. So I'm ready to write them off as a playoff team right now. But the question that I want to ask you guys is, who was the most overrated team this weekend, and who was the most underrated team this weekend? And I don't mind starting because I'm kind of putting you guys on the spot. So I'm going to start with who I think was the most underrated team, and that was UCLA. And I was on it all week. We talked about it a lot. They have some guys coming in. Looks like Kalen. I can see Kalen's
coming in.
I can see Kalen's groin just popped in the screen. Yeah. So we had UCLA. Kalen, tell him I chirped you a little bit, so I'm going to stop for a second. I said that you are probably off trying to win Justin Verlander in the show, so defend yourself.
I am. No, man, it was Rodgers. I mean, everybody knows the experience that everybody has with Rodgers, right? Going down, coming up, going down again. Terrible. It's kind of like the Red Sox and the Jays game here.
I thought it was funny that you just told me 10 minutes before the show that you had to win 9 games to get Verlander, and then you couldn't make the show. So.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, we're
Liam and Shane can speak for me. I was here before.
Blah, 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 blah.
We were getting ready to blow you up. But yeah, so overrated, underrated teams in college football is where you kind of jump in with us, Galen.
Okay.
I just named UCLA, in my opinion, as the most underrated team.
Well, you would after calling it the big upset. They come through for you.
I basically commentated that entire game through our Madden game. I watched that, and I watched the other college game, the Clemson Georgia game, and I was basically commentating that. So I feel like I was distracted, and that's why I wasn't able to give you my best shot.
Is that what it was? You didn't.
So,
Kalen throwing hot dots, huh? There's a reason why my gamer tag is Ziggy dotted you, right?
Hey, whatever. There will be a rematch. There will be a challenge that comes out. But Rick, I know you watched some college ball this weekend too. So
I did. Yeah, I watched quite a bit.
What do you think about overrated, underrated?
Well, I had a couple underrated teams on my list as Penn State and Utah, and Penn State upset Wisconsin, so I think that's a huge one. I also think Utah, I don't really know much about the team they play. They look like crap, but they still kicked ass. So 2 teams I have are Utah and Penn State, underrated. They both won. A bunch of the overrated teams that I had on my list, they all won other than Clemson. So I guess you'd have to have Clemson as the most overrated team in football right now, scoring 3 points. I saw that it was the first time they hadn't scored a touchdown in the first half in like 4 years or something.
Well, coming into this weekend, I think Shane and Chad had beat the drum a couple of times, saying that Clemson was due for seeing what the other side of the fence looks like. And you might be right, guys. I think you're right, Ricky. 3 points. Georgia's no slouch team. Okay, I know that.
I don't care. But I don't care.
3 fucking points. That's brutal.
And
that's terrible.
that quarterback is the life is rough without Trevor Lawrence.
And for DJ Alungale, we're gonna get into him in about 5 minutes over here, but keep rolling on the overrated, underrated train.
Yep.
Kalen,
Ohio State.
Kalen, you're welcome to say it, man.
What, North Carolina, move the Rays up, right, buddy? What's going on?
Hey, I already gave I gave a public apology before you came on.
You know what? I talked about the running backs being a significant loss to that team. It certainly looked like it. They definitely they're going to play better this year, Shane. I don't think that they're going to be like that the entire year. I'll give you that. But that quarterback, that looked like a hell of a first game, and to throw the interception to seal the game like that, and it was a horrible throw. That's something that you see like a redshirt or a true freshman or a first-year player doing. That was a really bad throw to blow the game at the end. It was in grasp. Like they were on like the 44-yard line or 45-yard line or something.
Do you guys realize they averaged 0.1 yards a carry?
Whoa!
That's worse than Eddie George. All right, that's worse than Eddie George. All right, and they averaged 4.8 yards a pass. What's
your tone about Eddie George, young man?
Hey, Eddie George made his college coaching debut and lost this weekend.
I bet you had more than 0.1 yards of rushing for the game, though.
Yeah, even as the coach, he did.
But that's brutal, man. Between the passing and this rushing, they didn't have 5 yards.
Yeah. Josh, you got anybody sticking out for you?
Yeah, so this one might be a hot take, but I think one of the most overrated teams is Notre Dame. I watched that game. And then
Chad takes a day off, and this is what happens, right?
And the reason being, the first half they looked all right, but once that quarterback that came in that hasn't played in 1,000 days, and they were getting worked all over the field. Yeah. And with that, you have one of the top safeties in the country, and you still couldn't stop that team, and you almost lost to Florida State, who hasn't been a good program since Jameis Winston was there.
Which, like, think of how crazy that statement is. Like, Jameis Winston was their most recent quarterback of note, who, was they had a very good team at that point. What was that, 2014?
Yeah, it was the year that Mariota and Winston came out, so I think it was 2014.
Does that sound right? 2014?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Who was the other big name quarterback that came out of there that never really panned out? I think he went to Christian Ponder. That's who I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Christian Ponder. Oh my goodness.
I'm just trying to think of quarterbacks that came out of FSU, and there's not a lot. Right?
Well, that guy's biggest accomplishment is his wife, right?
Who's his wife's name?
Well, she was on ESPN. Now she's on TSN. I can't think of her first name. Was it Melissa Ponder?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot like AJ McCarron.
Yeah. Hey. Well,
but we got to talk about Oklahoma though a little bit too, because they only beat Tulane by 5 points, and that was a pretty tight game.
Yeah.
So does that mean that the Big 12 is wide open after Texas had handled? Well, I mean, it wasn't handled because they really took it all over in the second half and like the fourth quarter. But does that mean the Big 12 might be a little bit open here? Because I walked into the season thinking that as a Texas fan, it's tough to say it, but it looked like Oklahoma was probably going to have this division pretty handily. After an like that, I know it's game 1, week 1. We shouldn't be making big rash decisions here, but Oklahoma should have stomped the hell out of Tulane, right?
Well, they scored some points. One thing I didn't really care for was Spencer Radler came out and said that was the hardest hitting team he's ever played in his life, which to me sounded like a little bit of an excuse after the fact. I mean, winning by 5 points, a win's a win. They're not going to drop below the second ranked team right now. It's still Alabama first, Oklahoma second. But yeah, I mean, like you really don't need to make an excuse after a win. Just get back into it, figure it out. I think that they took them lightly. Tulane gave it their best shot. And if you gave up 35 points to a team that probably is going to have 3 wins this year, I don't know, man. Your defense probably isn't good enough to win the national championship. I know that's going to be an unpopular thing because we have a pretty big Sooners fan. I don't know if she's on right now, but she will watch and she will make comments on this later and she will come and attack me. But hey, I don't think what they put on the field was not a product of a national championship team. There was only one.
Radler still had a great game though, so it's the defense really they got to work on.
Radler's going to be the first overall pick. I can tell you that with a lot of confidence. But the only team that looked like that they deserved a national championship was in Tuscaloosa.
Michigan State.
No, well, hey, Michigan State made some strides, and we're going to get to them. But I mean, the only team that looked like a champion team was Alabama. And I
was just about to get to it, man. We're talking about people taking other teams lightly. Derek King certainly walked into that weekend taking Alabama pretty fucking lightly, didn't he?
Yeah.
I did.
Man, that was a buzzsaw.
He to go in there and say that he has no what was the statement he made? There's no question in his mind that they're going to walk into Alabama and go up and down the field on them and be able to score easily. Then they got embarrassed. And I thought that the U was actually, I said this last week. I know you had mentioned that quarterback as being somebody to be kind of to watch for a little bit. But I thought, Miami was going to make a bit of a turnaround in their program here. And again, I know guys were making jumps after the first week, but Alabama certainly looked like they haven't missed a step, right? It doesn't look like they're going to be any problem with them this year. No.
Just plug and play at quarterback, man. Every time I watch these guys, it doesn't matter who's there. They're just lighting it up.
And receiver too, right? And receiver.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Doesn't matter.
John Menchie, who's actually from Toronto, that guy, he's making himself out to be a first-round pick in the NFL.
Well, I mean, all he had to do was go to Alabama to try and become a first-round pick.
Well, Jameson Williams, what a beautiful last name. 4 receptions.
Yeah, and I mean, in that too, like De'Aaron King. I mean, beyond the questionable spelling of his first name, let's give him a little bit of a break because he is 8 months removed from an ACL injury. He is a mobile quarterback, so to say that he was 100% would be a lie. I don't think it was
for 10 yards.
Yeah,
came out strong. Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying that if he was healthy that they would have beat Alabama. That's a wild accusation. I was surprised. I was surprised when I saw the 19-point line. I don't think it would have been that high. I mean, obviously they knew something we didn't. But look, let's make a quick pivot here because I expected Chad to be on here, so I wanted to talk about Notre Dame. But we'll let Josh and Ricky play the Chad's opinion of Notre Dame. But I'm gonna get a little braggadocious here and talk about Michigan State because this is a program that was in flux. Mel Tucker came in last February, no recruiting, no real training camp, nothing. Did the best he could. They mustered up a couple of wins. Like not a big notable year. They beat Michigan, which is obviously awesome. But he went out and he recruited some guys. He got some better talent. And if you don't know Kenneth Walker, if you don't know Kenneth Walker III yet, you're going to know who he is. That guy transferred in from Wake Forest. He rushed for 246 yards and 3 touchdowns.
64, baby.
64 and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. Honestly,
64, 4 TDs.
Okay.
And I think that is going to be the key to success.
I must have turned the TV off too early.
That's what I mean.
Listen, I can understand. You were probably celebrating pretty hard.
I was.
He averaged 11 and a half yards a carry.
And that, what?
Most of that game, 75-yard run long, too. So
yeah. Josh, you want to talk about built different? Check this guy out. He's built different.
And I was going to say that's I think going to be the key to success for Michigan State this year is to be able to have that significant run game. I don't think they're going to need to run for 260 or 230 yards or anything that game over game with one running back. But I think that certainly was the difference in this game. It was ball possession and ball control. I mean, it's not exactly like Northwestern's quarterback had a difficult time passing against MSU's defense. And that's where they're going to have problems this year, what it looked like anyway.
So keep in mind, that guy transferred from Clemson as a 5-star quarterback only because he would have been beaten out by Trevor Lawrence and DJ Alungale.
Sure, that's neither here nor there. He still put up 3 touchdowns and a beautiful stat line. I mean, that's nothing you can hide from, regardless of
what I'm saying is that's a 5-star quarterback. That isn't just a scrub bum. They didn't play a scrub team. They played arguably the second best team in the other side of that division. So for them to be able to manhandle them like that on the road, I have no problem with the defense. I have no problem with the offense. I think that it will be interesting to see how they react if they get down, because that's the true mark of a team, is how you do with adversity. But right now, I know that they're going to beat Youngstown State next week, and then we play Miami. So we'll see where that goes. It's
good start.
Yeah. Another good start. The Texas Longhorns.
Woo!
Seems like they found a quarterback. Was it Hanson Card, or was that who it was? Yeah.
Card.
He looked good. Sarkisian's offense looks like it's gonna roll there. He brought in a few other guys from Alabama, like an O-line coach and I think a D-line coach. So it looks like the program is turning around. That's not a bad team that they beat.
No, it's a good team, and it's the same thing though. It's that quarterback. He didn't have an exactly difficult time carving up the Longhorns defense, and I think that's going to be the Achilles heel throughout the entire year. But I think that our offense came out and showed enough on the field that, just like Michigan State, if they have enough to if they get a couple of touchdowns up, I think that they can strangle another team. Just enough.
Yeah, but that's the thing is they weren't a couple touchdowns up. That was a really tight game going into halftime, 14-6. Yep. And they kind of just took off in the second half, which I was really happy about because I had them by 8.5. But
the good news is they're in the Big 12, so they never have to play defense anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the same time, you got 4 years to get your ass in shape for the SEC because it's coming, baby.
Yeah, well, most of those guys will be gone by that point. Like this class coming in is going to be the first one that's going to be recruited into it, and I don't know for sure on Card, but he's a sophomore, right? So he's going to be gone before you move on. So whoever the next quarterback that rolls in is going to be the guy. I saw Casey Thompson on the sideline. I thought he transferred out. I was kind of surprised by that.
He played.
I know, but I assumed that he would transfer out when he found out he wasn't going to be the starter. But good for him for not doing that.
Yeah.
Based on what I watched, though, it was the running game that opened it up for them. Like, they were able to run pretty much at will. So the quarterback had a pretty easy defense to read because the run game was working so well.
In college football, if you have a run game, you always have a chance. And there's not many quarterbacks out there like the Trevor Lawrence or, do we say this too soon? The Bryce Young or, like a Spencer Rattler. But I mean, again, he did have a pretty good run game to support him, but I think that Rattler could score points at will if he needed to. Just trying to get back in good graces of our Sooners friend.
So you brought up Sarkisian, and I was thinking about this actually through the weekend. And do you think that part of the reason, outside of the fact...
Chad Stewart is watching. Chad!
Hey, buddy.
Pay attention at your meetings, Chad.
Outside of the fact, obviously, that Sarkisian had a really, really good name, and there's a reason why his name was thrown into the coaching cycle here. Do you think that Texas, realistically, coming into this season, even before we ever heard these rumors, might have thought that SEC was the route they were going to take? And if you get a coach from the SEC, you get that pipeline too. There's a potential
100%.
there where you can start grabbing kids up out of that pipeline. They may not get picked up by Alabama now, and it can get picked up by Texas, knowing that, hey, we're going to be there in a few years. We're going to be in that conference, and you can come play with us too.
It makes the most sense. Yeah, I think that you nailed it. I think they knew that this was something that was going to be coming down the pipeline. Sarkisian knew it coming. That's why he didn't mind bringing his style of play to the Big 12, because he could probably go out and win a couple Big 12 titles and then just walk away with the thing, like and try and go to the SEC to unify the belts, like they used to do in wrestling.
Yeah.
The Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah. All right.
Nobody cared about the Intercontinental Champion, but
Yeah. We're gonna get Rick to play the part of Chad for a little bit of Notre Dame hype talk. Or are you nervous? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot as if we're executioners or anything, but I want to know how you feel about Notre Dame football right now.
I watched most of it. I was sweating, man. I was sweating for you guys because I know that you needed that spread to be covered. But man, it was a very exciting game. I'll give you that, but not what you expected from.
We got a little bit of breaking news here. Mark Andrews just got a 4 years, $56 million deal. So throw that in the pipeline because we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I don't want to interrupt you, Rick. Go back to.
Oh, that's cool. It was a great game to watch, but for a 9-ranked team to go down to the wire like that with an unranked team, that's pretty bad. Not a good sign. But hey, a win's a win. You rebuilt. You go back to the drawing board and hopefully play better next week. But
yeah, if you look ahead at the I don't know, at the positives, I guess you have a couple receivers that look like they're NFL talent. You're transferring. Quarterback looked awesome.
Yeah.
And Kyle Hamilton is a stud. He's exactly who he thought he was. He had 2 interceptions. One, he cost his team 15 yards. I don't blame. I think that he thought they had the game in lockdown, but I mean, we talked about it a little bit before he popped on. Even like we were talking about it with Liam and whatever. The front 7 for Notre Dame fucking sucks.
Yeah, that was ugly, man. They got bullied the whole game, man.
Yep.
There was no pressure. The kid didn't have to try to do anything with Florida.
Yeah.
Or even the run game was just it chewed him up.
They brought in a guy with a hamstring for a knee, and he carved him up to tie the game.
Yeah.
It was a shootout.
Having to go back to the drawing board. Oh, what? Yeah, I mean, especially fun because I know that Chad was over there sweating. The guy had to stay up late to watch it. That type of game, he might actually stayed up.
Yeah, he wasn't sweating as much as Kelly there. Yeah, that guy looked like he was having
Well, and then I was just going to say, the team has to go back to the drawing board for next weekend. And then, Kelly might just be on timeout from doing post-game interviews for a little while, right?
Oh, yeah. He was ready to blow. Yeah.
Well, that public apology is probably coming. So, once they get off the plane there. Now, we talked a little bit about Clemson, but we'll kind of focus on them a little bit more because they're on the ropes right now. And I thought that North Carolina was going to be a little bit better and Miami was going to be a little bit better. But based on what we're seeing now, the ACC is relatively weak.
Wide open.
Well, maybe that's wide open for them, but if those are the only wins that they can get now, and you lose that Georgia game, I'm going to say that they are the Texas A&M of this year. And even if they can get close, I'm going to say there's no chance Clemson makes the playoffs. I'm going to put it at 0.
I almost say if they can go out and win out, even if they really can't lose one to Miami or to North Carolina, but if they were to win out potentially, if their only loss or if they have a loss to Georgia and a loss maybe to somebody like North Carolina, they still might have a shot. Georgia's a very, very strong team, as we said, right? So it's no slouch to take a loss to them. It depends on how the other 6 or 7 teams there remaining and where their losses fall to. If they lose to a team like Tulane, versus a team like
it does make them a slouch to lose at all in this, though. Any loss is detrimental. It doesn't matter who you lost to. If they lose one more game, they're done.
With the expansion of the playoff, I mean, you're right.
It's not there yet. It's not there yet.
It's not there.
It's not there yet. And if they lose one more game, they're done.
Yeah.
So, that's a pretty big deal. For a team that just ran for 0.1 yards a carry, and you need to win every single game, that's pretty scary.
Who? Clemson ran for 0.1 or North Carolina did?
Clemson ran for 0.1 yards a carry.
They had no running game, and they didn't have much of a passing game.
0.4 yards per passing.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable putting it all on Alungale. Obviously, it's a team game, team sport. You got to do what you got to do. But he did not look like he was prepared. And I guess the real question is, were they that bad on offense, or is Georgia's defense that good?
Well, a combination of both, I think. But I don't think anybody's defense should be that good in college football to score 3 points. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Especially for a team that, is a top 4 team last year and has been for 6 years. That's pretty alarming.
Yeah, well.
Clemson gave up a lot of sacks. I didn't watch the entirety of the game. So fill me in, guys. Was it the offensive line that caved, or was it Clemson's quarterback holding on to the ball too long? I think they gave up 7 or 9 sacks or something like that, didn't they?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm not saying it's all DJ's fault. The guys have to get open on the outside. They don't have ETN to swing the ball to. They don't have the safety net. It didn't seem like there was a tight end to be found. Maybe they kept him in to block, but it just didn't work. And unless Georgia has an entire front 7 that's going to the NFL that we're missing, I think that this is just going to be one of those down years for Clemson. And keeping in mind, a down year for Clemson is going to be 11-1 still.
Well, and I would say as well, what was it that I don't even think
they are beating North Carolina, Shane? Are you calling that now?
Well, I'm saying, even if they do, whether they do or they don't, it's a down year if they're not a playoff team.
Well, and the only thing you can take away for them that's good is the fact that they didn't give up a touchdown on defense, right? The only touchdown that was scored was a pick 6.
Yep.
So this is literally could have been a 3-3 game if it wasn't for that pick 6. So the only thing they can take from this game, is that, they played great on defense. They got a lot of work to do on offense, but they played a top 5 team and didn't give up a touchdown. So, that's what I would take from that if I wanted positive being Clemson.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, we can all sit back at home, call Joe Cools and order a kitchen sink pizza. So everyone's pretty happy. Everyone's pretty real. Rick, you're going to be back pretty soon. I think by the time you're going to be back, this next thing is going to be relevant, which is the original question I was going to ask before today was, can Robbie Ray win the Cy Young? But I have another question to add on top of that. Are the Jays going to do this? Because right now the Mariners are down 5-0 to the Astros. The Red Sox blew it today. The Yankees are ice cold. I don't know. It feels like it's destiny. Yeah,
I got a couple things to touch on. I love this run. They need to get hot at the right time. That game that they came back and won, down 8-2 in the 8th inning. I'm not sure if everybody knows, but before that game, teams were 1 win and 457 losses when trailing by 6 or more in the 8th inning. And the Jays came back and did it. Yeah, so that's 1 in 457. And then they blew it in the 9th and came back. When you start doing stuff like that, it seems like destiny. But, this next 3 games is going to decide the season. We kicked the Yankees' ass today, which is beautiful. But it sucks to me that Robbie Ray isn't pitching in this series, which is really unfortunate because he pitched the last game in the Oakland series. Yeah. But the only thing is Springer playing right now is a complete debacle. The guy can't even run the bases. He can't even swing without falling on the ground. I don't know why he's playing. I don't know why they're putting so much into him right now. You signed him for 5 years for $125 million or whatever, and you're putting it all into this season as if he needs to be in the lineup. The guy can barely even stand. It's ridiculous that he's playing right now.
Yeah, and I think that you're probably going to see him take a week off. He doesn't have to go to the DL because of the expanded rosters, but I think that you're right, Rick, and it's tough to take a guy like that out of the lineup because he's kind of the heart and soul of the team, right? We've seen that. We watched him get hurt. We watched him fall apart. He comes back. He's the straw that stirs the drink, I guess, and I mean,
but it's just not worth it. It's not worth it if he's gonna either he can't get hurt anymore, but then you see him crumble at the plate like that. How can you say he can't get hurt anymore and then see him fall like that? I don't know. It's alarming to me.
So I personally think that Springer has a little bit of soccer player in him, where he thinks that it hurts more than it actually hurts, and he over exaggerates when he falls. I think that he's done it a couple times, because when he gets taken out of the game, you can see how mad he is. He's like, "Fuck, I shouldn't have done that."
Shouldn't have done that. Yeah, I hear you.
I shouldn't over exaggerate it, because now I'm out of the game, and now the lineup gets a little bit worse. But I
hope you're right.
I don't expect him to play tomorrow, and ultimately, like, if he's not going to play down the stretch, they're probably not in the conversation anymore, because I mean, it's a pretty big downgrade to go to Dyson or Grichuk.
Oh, for sure. I just wish they would have given him those extra couple days. It's like, instead of rushing it back so soon, it's like, I can't get him in there, but what good is he if he's going to go down every 2 games? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
With the way Teoscar's hitting, the way Vladdy's starting to hit again, Semyon's fucking on fire. I don't know if you guys saw again, hit a grand slam today.
Yeah,
that's back to back. Like, that's 2 grand slams in like 4 days. Yeah. Like, everybody's starting to get hot again, and I understand we need him in the lineup, but not at the cost of seeing him like that. But other than that, Robbie Ray thing, we should touch on that, because the way he's pitching lately is ridiculous.
Hold on. I want to come back to, are we going to make, because my team's in the race with you boys here too. And we've lost a couple of games in a row. You guys have won 5 now, but up for the last 2 weeks, it seems to be every time we're winning, you're winning. Now you guys are starting to catch up a little bit. We're 3 games ahead. But Shane, you mentioned, if we want to look at the road ahead for both of our teams here, the Red Sox got a couple series against the Yankees, who you've talked about are ice cold right now. They get to play the Orioles, and they get to finish the season against the Nationals. The Jays, they got a couple series against the Rays. They get to play the Orioles too, but then they got to finish out against, I think it's Detroit, or who they got to finish out against. It's some
Yankees. The Yankees.
Is it the Yankees?
I'd rather play a team that's ahead of me, though, even if they are a good team. And
I get it.
If the Jays sweep right now, they're in a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I totally feel you, but then I got to look at the other team that's involved in it that's just a half game ahead of you guys, and that's Seattle. Seattle gets to play Arizona twice before coming out to the end of the season here. They get to go through their easy division right now as it is.
Is that in Arizona or in Seattle? Because that's a big
It's
deal.
a mix. There's 2. It's a back and back series or home and home series there.
I'm
not worried about
the Mariners. The Mariners have to play the Red Sox there too.
They did. That's who the Red Sox get to finish out against. But I think actually, Houston do the Jays have to play Houston too coming through the end of the season here? No, they're done.
No.
Well, I just think looking at the schedule, when I was looking at just briefly here, just kind of looking at it, the Jays have got a rough go coming out the end.
No,
here.
they don't. You're totally wrong. We don't have a rough go at all. We played Minnesota 7 times, and we played Baltimore 3 times.
Yeah, and you played the Rays 2 series, Rick. So I'm saying the Red Sox get to play the Yankees 2 series, which you guys are talking about how they're ice cold right now. They get to play the Orioles and finish out against the Nationals, which are just as bad as the Twins.
We play 4 more against the Orioles, another 3 against the Orioles, 4 against Minnesota, and 3. So yeah, there's Tampa mixed in there, but not as many as the shitty teams we play.
And as I'm talking about, the Red Sox have the same. We finish out against the Nationals. It's the exact same team as the Twins.
Yeah,
I'd rather play the Orioles than the Nationals.
Look. When it comes down to it, there's 26 games left, and they're 3 back. I believe in the pitching. I believe in the hitting. If they can get Jordan Merriweather back in the bullpen, I believe a little bit more in the bullpen. I mean, the guy's traveled to New York with them, which leads me to believe that he's going to be activated either tomorrow or the next day. I think that they're dangerous, and it's going to be fun to watch down the stretch. Like, think of how blessed we are right now to have college football back. We got the NFL kicking off on Thursday, which we're about to switch into. And now we got the Blue Jays, who I kind of, on Friday night when I was sitting there, I wrote them off. But they came back twice in that game, and they've been on a bit of a tear since. So, I mean, good for them. We're happy for them. We're obviously all Jays fans except for Kalen. And I think we all called the Yankees and Jays to be the wild card game. I'd be cool if it was the Jays and the Red Sox. I don't really care.
That'd be amazing.
The division's tough. Regardless, the division is ridiculous. I saw a picture that was put in one of my group chats today talking about teams and their record within the division. And so you got the Jays are like 72 and 62 within their division. and everybody else is losers within their divisions. Anybody else that's the fourth place in their division are all losers. And the Jays are 60 or 72 and 62. That just goes to show how difficult the AL East can be year over year, and especially when you're dealing with Canadian dollars. I'll give respect to a team like the Jays to be able to field the team like they have been over the last decade. There's been a couple of rough years in between there, but the AL East is tough to build in for sure. And to keep a team going, not just to build, but to keep it there after 2 years or 3 years.
Right.
But just to touch on Robbie Ray, though, just because we're the only two people in the race are him and Garrett Cole, right? And it's like,
what about Liam Hendricks?
Right now. Yeah, but shut up. When it comes down to it, like Robbie Ray, 11-5, Garrett Cole 14-6. They both have Robbie Ray 2.60 ERA and Garrett Cole 2.70, 212 Ks to 215 Ks. They're almost dead even. Their WHIP is 0.99 to 0.97. It's really going to come down to these last 2-3 starts for them, I think. And if Robbie Ray keeps doing what he's doing and the Jays make the playoffs, I can't see them not giving it to him. But we'll see.
Look, I mean, I think that Ray is the front runner, in my opinion, for the Cy Young, and we have the runner-up and the second runner-up for MVP. So the Jays are in a pretty good spot, right? I don't think there's any doubt to say that Simeon and Vlad would go 2 and 3, right?
Well, Vladdy just hit 40 today.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be in that order. It could be Vlad and Simeon and Vlad.
For sure.
Yeah.
But Otani's probably going to take it, unfortunately. But unless Vladdy hits 10 home runs in September, it would probably save it for him.
Let's go to the main event here, and I actually wanted to talk to you guys. So we got a new segment from our friends at Smooth My Balls. It is called No More Hedges, which apparently is too smart of a joke for some people. So hedging bets is basically covering your losses. Now, getting rid of your hedge with a Smooth My Balls razor would be trimming your Manscaped area. I don't know if that's trademark to say, but so here the guys at Smooth My Balls would like your betting card to be as smooth as your crotch area. So they sent us a couple of bets that obviously we're going to play through CoolBet. So here we go. These odds are from CoolBet. Early lines to get. We got New England -3 at +100, so even money. Like you're going to double your money. And the Washington football team -2.5 at +118. So either one of those I think are going to hit. Personally, I am a fan of both of those. I might even just parlay them and really put 2 balls in a bag. If you catch my drift.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. So while I got my 2 balls in the bag, let's jump right in because we're gonna go Thursday Night Football, and obviously we're gonna talk a ton about this on Thursday. But it's time to start previewing some games here. We got the Bucks -7.5 against the Cowboys. The over/under right now is 51.5. Any way that the Cowboys can beat the Bucks in this game?
No.
Not after Dominican Sue gets activated and Zach Martin goes on the 19 list.
Yeah.
That's not happening, man. You need that guard there for somebody like that.
Oh, he was out all last year too, I think.
Yeah.
Was he out the whole year?
Well, there was the whole year, but it was a big chunk of it, and that offensive line is lost without him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that man, it sucks. We kind of got a little bit of PTSD from betting 7.5 point spreads, but I think that it's pretty comfortable to take this one. 7.5 for the Bucks. I think personally, unless the Cowboys defense got so much better, this one might be over at half.
Mm-hmm. I would take the over and the Bucks all day.
Yeah.
Because I think the Cowboys will still score like 20 points somehow. I think they'll be able to put something like that up, but I think it's going to be like a 42-20 game or something like that. I think they're going to smash them.
Yeah, well, they're getting their rings. The banners are not getting their rings. They're getting their banner up, and this will be the first time that Tom Brady plays in front of a Tampa capacity crowd. Like even at the Super Bowl, it was just like healthcare workers, right? It wasn't necessarily Bucks fans, but now it's going to be like a Tampa Bay crowd. I don't imagine Tom Brady is going to let us down.
And a full training camp and everything with all these guys. I think they're going to be a well-oiled
Yeah, they have too many receivers, too many running backs. I think that the abundance of running backs is kind of bullshit. If I had to put my stock into something, I'm going to say Fournette is their every down back. Maybe gets spelled in by Ronald Jones and Giovanni Bernard if he's healthy. I don't know. Maybe
he'll have like 400 yards receiving this year. You watch.
Yeah, something like that. Like he might come in and play every fourth quarter because they're up by 10 or up by 20 or something. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to this game because I think it's awesome to have NFL football back. But there's better games on the weekend, and some are pretty close to home. I mean, Tennessee and Arizona.
Great first game.
It might be one of the premier matchups of the entire weekend.
Yep.
Yeah. We're going to see a secondary get beat up on both sides. You got Malcolm Butler, who was signed in Arizona to try and pick up some of the slack there in their secondary.
I thought he retired.
He's gone on the retired list now. So then you've got what you're left with is Isaiah Simmons playing that star backer that he's been kind of doing. You've got Budda Baker, who's obviously amazing. And then you've got that Byron Murphy, who was the rookie last year, to come out and be your number one starting corner. So, and then Tennessee, obviously, that's no secret that they've had their woes with the DBs in the secondary there. So, wide receivers galore. You got Hopkins and AJ Green on one side, Julio and AJ Brown on the other side. So it's going to be fun. The running game, I think, is going to JJ Watt being there with Chandler Jones to try and stop the run game. That is a chess match for week one. If I'm looking across the board, there's two games that I say are chess match type games. That's one of them. Shane, you're going to love hearing this other one. It's going to be your Steelers and your Bills game. I think that's going to be another chess match where who's going to hold on to the ball the longest in that game. That's what it's going to come down to, I think.
Yeah. I mean, of course, the homer inside of me is saying the Steelers roll that one. I mean, I think 6.5 points is too much.
You know what, Shane? I know the next thing you're going to talk about is like
I agree with you there.
I think that's my upset right there because I think right now the Bills are favorite at the last I looked, right, by about 6 points or something like that.
6.5 points.
And I do think that the Steelers could, I think they could probably. I think they got the game. I think I will take the Steelers in that game, let alone just covering the spread. So,
yeah, for me, like I look at it and think, okay, Josh Allen, definitely the up and coming guy. Analysts are looking at this as like the passing of the torch from like Big Ben to like new Big Ben, which I told you guys last year. I thought Josh Allen at this point in his career was above what Ben Roethlisberger was because Ben Roethlisberger had a run game to lean on. But he's also most dangerous with a run game, and they've rebuilt the offensive line. They have a brand new running back, actually a pretty decent backfield altogether with Snell and McFarland's on the injured list, but Kalen Ballage, who I'm not even sure if many people know that the Steelers have him. I think that they're going to be in fine shape. I'm not willing to put fucking Kalen's jinx on it and say that I think the Steelers are going to win. But yeah, man, I think that game's going to be far more competitive than people expect. And
I think like the Bills after that, they follow up those games. They've got the Dolphins, Washingtons, the Texans, and then the Chiefs and the Titans. But I think that they may go into this game specifically with a lot of unique blitzes or unique type of looks and stuff, because I don't think that the next three games that they're really going to have to do that or utilize that, but they're going to have to do something special in this game for sure. So I think that they're going to try a little bit more than they may have to worry about doing in the next 3 weeks. And to prepare themselves for week 4 and 5, you go with the Chiefs and the Titans back to back. That's going to be a really difficult stretch there too. Then you go into a bye week. So thank God for that.
Right.
I think things are going to be a bit rusty too, man. Like it's, we're going to see some mishaps in the first quarter, and who can jump on those first early turnovers. I think is going to be huge in this first week. So
also, I mean, and this is something just to point out, Josh Allen has never played well with a sold-out crowd.
Is that true? Right. What are your unique stats? If I brought a stat up like that, you would make fun of me about how unique and niche I brought that up just to make the Titans look good. It's just Josh Allen has never played well in front of a big crowd. What a unique stat you want to throw into the plate there.
It's just true.
Are we putting any focus at all on the Browns and the Chiefs? Do we think the Browns have any chance in that game to give the Chiefs some trouble early or what?
No. Not the start. This isn't going to be. I don't think that the Browns are going to make noise against the Chiefs. I think the Browns are going to be a team that gets very strong as the season goes on and they start to find their running game again. That two-headed monster that's down there. Shane, I know you hate what I'm saying right now, man, but to have two athletes like that in the backfield, it's amazing. You would love to have two guys like that. You've got one right now. If you could have two type of players like Najee Harris, you'd be very happy.
I think that there's a very good possibility that the Browns beat the Chiefs.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
Like not,
That's where I was,
You're
that's where I was
not
going.
cover.
Jay was throwing
That's where I
out
was
hot
going.
takes last week, and now he's saying the Browns are going to beat the Super Bowl or 2 years ago Super Bowl champs. Amazing.
So
Yep.
I have a teaser bet, and what a teaser bet is you bet or you get an extra 6 points whichever way you want to go. So right now the Steelers are plus 6.5, and the Browns are plus 6.5, and I put them both together, which makes them each a plus 12.5, and I'm all over that. I think
it's a good bet. I honestly have a feeling this week about the Browns and the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, when it all comes down to it, I could see the Steelers, the Browns, and the Ravens all finishing the season 10-7.
So I know this is an obviously stupid question because every win in the NFL matters. Okay, but would it be more detrimental or would it be a bigger win for the Browns, or would it set them back? Is that like their Super Bowl if they beat the Chiefs? Are they going to take a step back and come off the gas a little bit as a result? Or is it okay if they lose to the Chiefs because, hey, man, it's a hell of a team. We'll pick up some more wins throughout the season.
Oh, it's always okay to lose to the Chiefs unless you're the Raiders.
Yeah. I think what Kalen's saying makes a lot of sense, and it kind of adds to what I was going to say, which is, yeah, the Browns might be good enough to beat the Chiefs in week 1, but it's going to sewer the rest of the year. And they're going to have a point where they start to fall apart a little bit because these guys that they have on their team are not used to winning. And that's not a slight on them. It's just, look, every time they get on a hot streak, they can't help but run their mouth. A guy like Baker Mayfield can't help but get excited. And he should. If they beat the Chiefs, he should get excited. But it's week 1, guys. Like, cool it.
Well, the Raiders proved last year beating the Chiefs is not the end all be all, right?
So since you brought up the Raiders, like that's actually a game. Obviously, it's Monday Night Football, so everyone's got it circled on their calendar. But it's one of the most intriguing games that I see. Not only because we really don't know what to expect from the Raiders this year, at least I don't.
I know.
But look at how banged up the Ravens are, and I think that the Raiders could probably steal one. Their first game in front of a real crowd. It's basically like the reopening of their stadium, right?
I expect to win. I really do. You know, it's one of my things I've said all along is having the new stadium and fans. It's going to be huge. I'm very worried about not playing any preseason at all. I don't I've talked about that before. I just don't understand it. But if they come out, they look sharp, they play well, prove me wrong. But not playing, from a team that usually leads the league in penalties or at least top 5. To not play any snaps in the preseason, I don't know. We'll see. I do expect to win the game. Like I really do. So
you got the Ravens. Shane talked about how they're banged up, and you talked about how there's no preseason play. It looks like the Ravens might be signing somebody here in the coming days who's still sitting on the free agent market, who's going to be their starting running back potentially. Right? They tried out Le'Veon Bell and Devontae Freeman today. Like. They don't have anybody. Justice Hill went down again today, or not again, but he went down anyway. So they've lost another running back there. They're incredibly thin at any type of elite athlete that they need to carry on offense. They're like really thin at. And Le'Veon Bell, I mean, I don't know if he's the answer. I think I would actually take Devontae Freeman in that comparison.
They both suck.
They're both not good. Devontae didn't do very much for the Giants last year. I'm not going to sit here and try and sugarcoat it and make it sound like he did something over there. But Le'Veon hasn't done shit anywhere he's gone, period, since the Steelers. Didn't matter how many opportunities he's had. Even going to a team like Kansas City, which we all predicted that he would be that Brian Westbrook type-esque running back, be able to catch out of the backfield and didn't do anything.
Yeah. Is Gus Edwards not there still?
No, he is.
He's a starter.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now that's your starter. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have a player that's been in the system and everything, and you can trust as a pass blocker. I mean, that's significant. You have to be able to find somebody who can block on third down.
I think that Gus Edwards is one of the best second running backs that a team could have, but it's when he's their first running back. He doesn't have breakaway speed, and he's not a threat to catch a ball. So I don't know.
Well, I have Lamar Jackson as a fantasy quarterback, so as long as they don't have a running back and he's playing running back as well as quarterback, that works just fine for me.
Yeah, well, it might not hurt them to just have RG3 run out there and start handing the ball to Lamar Jackson. That might be their best option.
I mean, he's an announcer this year, right? I'm interested to see how he goes as an announcer.
Who, RG3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Brent Huntley's their backup there now, right? Or Trace McSorley?
Yeah, and he killed it. No, that Huntley guy killed it in the last game he played. Jesus.
Yeah, I think somebody on the Ravens had said if you'd given him a jersey number 8, nobody would have known the difference or something like that. Which I mean, listen, it's funny to say that you're trying to pump up your backup quarterback and everything, but that does not sound well to the starter, right?
No.
Yeah, he's an athlete. But Mark Andrews, you said, just signed a big contract, right? So
yeah,
was it 656? I know it's 56, but what was the term?
4 years.
456. Okay, wow.
Yeah,
good for him.
That's a big deal for a tight end. I think good for him. He's definitely third or fourth best tight end, maybe fourth best tight end in the league, behind Kelsey, Kittle, and Waller, right?
Hawkinson's in front of him, man. Come on.
Oh,
TJ Hawkinson, really?
I forgot Josh was even here. Come on, you waited that whole time to make that comment. You're way better.
Wait for Detroit Lions, man. Come on.
You know that Hawkinson's better than Mark Andrews, though, especially with now the Lions have no targets, and Hawkinson will probably lead the team in receptions and touchdowns and all that sort of thing.
Hawkinson is the fourth best tight end, despite having a quarterback. I'm not sure what it would look like if he actually had one. Hawkinson has been shit with.
There's a better tight end in your division, though. Like Robert Tonyan is a far better tight end than TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, Tonyan's not.
Yeah, I believe that Irv Smith and Hawkinson are going to have the same amount of touchdowns. And Irv Smith is out for a year. He's out for a year.
If you gave Aaron Rodgers TJ Hawkinson, he would light the light up. He would light the league up. So let's just slow down a little bit there.
Yeah, well, if we were talking about survivor picks, then we would bring in the Lions to the conversation because I'm sure the 49ers are everyone's survivor pick for week 1. But
it certainly wasn't my upset of the week, I'll tell you that much.
So Kalen mentioned announcers, and I wanted to talk about this because I know you guys remember Gus Johnson used to be on CBS, right?
Yep.
You remember the Brandon Stokely play? That was probably like 7-8 years ago. I get the pleasure of listening to this guy on Fox all the time because he does all the Big Ten games. He does the big Fox college game with Joel Klatt. And I see Sean McVay gets offered $30 million to go be on Monday Night Football. Tony Romo gets all this money. Why has nobody offered this to Gus Johnson? Because that dude's electric, and he would make any channel better. And if that guy was on Monday Night Football, like, sorry, Steve Levy, Brian Greasy,
that's the second unit. That's the late night unit.
Yeah, get out, boys.
Because like he's a play-by-play guy, and unfortunately, there's only a couple play-by-play guys that make big bucks like that. The guys who are like the color commentary are the players, and that's who make a lot of the money because they're given the insights of the game that the play-by-play guys just don't have. Now, I'll back you up. Gus Johnson gives you insight. He gives you a lot of background. He's a fantastic announcer. He does bring some more elements to the game than just your typical play-by-play person would be. But I think that's the only reason, man. Players right now are running the color commentary, and your play-by-play is run by old guys like Al Michaels, unfortunately.
Yeah. I saw that Gus Johnson was fired.
Don't knock Al Michaels. Al Michaels is a boss.
No, he's good. No. I love Al Michaels. Listen, I love me some Al Michaels, but I'm just talking about there's quite a few fellas like that could probably take a step back and we could do some injection of life to the board.
The other guy in college too, that Kirk Herbstreit guy, like he is amazing. Yeah. Anytime I listen to that guy in college football, he is a class act. I would love to see that guy. He did one game in the NFL last year and he killed it.
Yeah, he did the Steelers game.
Is the intention for him? He's taken over for the old guy that retired for the college countdown, right? Like he's supposed to be the face of that now. Is that what's going on there?
Well, I mean,
who's the old fella? The one who used to put on
there for Lee Corso, but
Lee Corso, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, not really taking over him because Kirk Herbstreit's been on that for 20 years.
What I mean though is like he is the Al Michaels, and then Lee Corso was the John Madden. Like now that is his stage. This is what I view it as.
His partner is Chris Fowler. But no, man, they're just a good combination together. You could tell that they actually like each other. They're actually friends. So when they're there,
he's just so good. He's so good at announcing sports.
Yeah, I think that the NFL is fucking up by not having Gus Johnson call their games. And CBS used to have him, and they fired him. I don't know if he was like in that Me Too era or something, but it seems like
still Iron Eagle, and Iron Eagle bothers the hell out of him. So
yeah. Iron Eagle stinks.
I almost feel that every announcer or play-by-play guy should go through the broadcast booth by doing baseball first. Because if you can do good play-by-play and good commentary in baseball when it's slow, imagine what you can do when you've got less and less seconds in between plays.
Well, I heard Joe Buck was opening up a university for announcing, so you can do baseball.
The last thing we need is another person like Joe Buck.
No, Joe Buck is also good.
I can't stand how he doesn't get excited for anything. He just talks.
Yeah. So
he's a man.
We talked a little bit about teams that were going to go on to upset alert, and if you're looking at this week's schedule, give me a team that is on upset alert. I think I already know where Ricky is leaning, as far as where he's going. But who's on?
I have another one too, though. But,
okay, yeah, let's fire away.
I think the Vikings are going to lose this week.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah.
Who are they playing?
The Bengals at home.
Okay.
The Bengals are at home. Minnesota's favored by 3. I got a funny feeling that the Bengals are going to upset the Vikings this week. That's mine for the week.
Well, I've already said mine. And you're gonna love hearing me say it again, and I'm gonna hate saying it again, Shane. But I do think that the Steelers are gonna be the one to take over the Bills, and I'm not just talking about covering the spread. I think they win the game. So
that would be nice to see.
Kissing ass.
Yeah. Well, the one that I had, it just sounds like I really wanted Rick to take it, but it seems really, really bitter for me to take this. But I'm taking the Raiders. I think that the Raiders have the stadium on the side. They have the crowd noise on their side. The Ravens are banged up. I fully believe that the Ravens are going to be in it when it comes to division time. It's going to come down to a 3-way tiebreaker, in my opinion, for that division. But the Raiders are, I don't know, man. Something tells me go Raiders, and they have enough weapons. This is Derek Carr's chance to come out in front of the fans. Josh Jacobs is going to have a huge year. And they got Kenyon Drake, too. That gives a little bit of a change-up back, something that they haven't had there in a while. I mean, Rick, you could probably attest to this.
It's all about who's going to catch the balls there other than Darren Waller. That's, our receiving core is shaky. Al Aguilar caught the most touchdowns for our team last year. He's gone. Tyrell Williams is gone. So we're relying strictly on the young guys, Hunter Renfrow, Ryan Edwards, and Henry Ruggs. And it's going to be all up to whether or not these guys can actually catch the fucking ball. So,
well, they're going to run the ball and they're going to throw it short, and it's going to open some things up deep because.
Well, we know that John Gruden does nothing but that. So
yeah, so that's where I'm rolling.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Josh, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I'm going to go to a game that no one's going to be probably watching. Me and Kalen talked about it the one day. Jacksonville versus Houston. Probably no one's watching it. But I think Houston could upset that game. And I just think, they have some guys, Nico Collins. They have a stable of running backs with David Johnson, Phillip Lindsay, against not a very good Jacksonville D-line other than Josh Allen off the edge there. And they should come in there. They're actually at home and should win that game.
Okay. Well,
I can't believe Jacksonville's favored on the road in their first game.
Yeah, right.
-3.
That's
amazing.
Hilarious. Wow.
All right. So last year we did the straight pick'em challenge, which put Kalen in the Thames River. This year, Rick is joining the pick'em challenge because he's going to be on with us Thursdays until at least the end of football season. Maybe Mondays too, because who knows? But here's the proposed new way to go, because last year we all picked the same games and I ran away with it, and then it just kind of I don't know, it was boring for me by the end. So I think that there needs to be a way to get yourself back into it. So here's what I'm saying: you still pick 4 games. Your first game is a survivor. Once your survivor is out, you can only pick 3 games, so you get yourself at a disadvantage. But you have to pick 1 primetime game, 1 team that's considered an underdog, and then the third game could be whatever you want. So what do you guys think of that? You pick 4 games still, but it should put a little bit more intrigue and interest into it.
All I know is that you've made it a little bit more complicated, which gives us a better chance of beating Chad. So
Yeah, well, yeah.
So we give these picks before the weekend starts then?
Yeah, so we'll do the
on
picks.
Thursday night, baby.
Yeah, for us, we'll do the picks on the Thursday show. We'll just get Chad's picks from him on like Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon before we come on so that we can keep up with his picks too.
If you want a good survivor pick for the week, Carolina is at home versus the Jets. That's who I would go with.
Okay.
I like the
That
Jets,
isn't
my
an obvious
friend.
one.
I like the Jets.
I think that all of us are taking the 49ers week 1.
Yeah. Thanks for your
I was going-
injection there, Josh.
Yeah.
You just got
Hey.
fucked.
I just don't like going with obvious games. And if you're going for a survivor pool and you want to go kind of risky week 1, maybe take the Panthers. They have a lot of good second-year players. And then Christian McCaffrey's back. And even if McCaffrey's not playing that well or he's not very healthy, Chuba Hubbard can come in and he'll be able to make lots of plays. So
I do honestly
still like
like
the-
what Josh is
I like
saying.
the
there.
Rams.
I do like the Jets too a lot, but I do like what Josh is saying there. It makes a lot of sense. I think that's going to be an incredibly close game, but it's going to be fun. Sam's got a lot to prove.
10-foot pole. I do like the Rams over the Bears though too. I think that's a lock. But
oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's so much of a. I guess that would be a survivor pick. That's what you're saying. It's not really the upset special.
Yeah. No. I'm saying survivor pick.
Yeah,
That's
I'd
my
say.
upset of the week. My
Yeah,
Super Bowl pick is the upset of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. So based on if you're wondering what an upset is, just use the cool bet lines, and if they're a plus, then they're considered. That way we can make it fair because we don't want people like Kalen's gonna say Tennessee when technically they're the favorite against Arizona. But
And while you're there checking the lines on CoolBet, don't forget to, while you're depositing, to throw in our code there, going for 2, get doubled up there up to $200. Shoot us a message on any one of our socials, and we'll make sure to give another $25 on top of that. So who doesn't like playing with free money?
absolutely.
Yes, awesome. And I have to touch on real quick before we leave because I know nobody really cares about tennis on the show, but Canadians are killing it at the U.S. Open. Leila Annie Fernandez just turned 19. She just upset Naomi Osaka, 3rd ranked seed. She also just beat Kerber, who's the 12th ranked seed. She's on to the quarterfinals. Bianca plays in 30 minutes to go to the quarterfinals as well. And Felix Auger-Aliassime is also through the quarters. This is the most Canadians we've ever had through to the quarters at this point, ever in a Grand Slam, ever.
Yeah, and
So
not
it's a
only
very
did
big
she
deal.
beat Osaka, she made her take a timeout from her
And
career
she
for a
made her
little bit.
cry like a little baby.
Yeah.
Every time she cried, she's like, I feel sad when I lose. Welcome to the big leagues. Everybody's sad when they fucking lose. On top of that, women's gold, World Championships, Canada came back and defeated the U.S. in overtime. What a beautiful goal. And thank you to my beautiful fiance for letting me do the show on her birthday. And we're going out for dinner and movies right after this.
Happy birthday, Jen.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, that is the rant to sign it off on. If that's not a down cherry kind of rant, I don't know what is. I loved it, and I'm ready for some more. Thursday night, we're going to be back together. Before that, make sure you check out the Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube, the Twitch. Kalen and I were playing a little bit of Madden. Feel free to challenge any of us. Rick and Kalen, I think, are the next matchup on Madden. Anybody that beats Kalen gets some merch from us. And if you want some merch,
we're putting in orders right now. So
Coming
let
for
us
you.
know what you're
Yeah.
looking for. We get some hats, some shirts, whatever you're looking for, guys. We can make it happen. You want your
One of these
specific team
beautiful hats
color?
right here. Beautiful
There you
hat.
go.
I wear it all the time. Proud. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's right.
So-
That's right. I had some Minnesota fans reach out to me, ask me if they can get some Minnesota colored hats or some gear. We can make it happen. Just let us know what you're looking for.
100%. So check us out. Make sure you hit us up. We'll see you Thursday for Countdown to Kickoff, and football's officially
Cool.
back. Cheers,
All right.
boys.